And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, Gungans, droids, of course. The creepy looking plagueis people lurking in the shadows. The reason we made it. Well, hopefully you got all that, people, because guess what? We have a lot to talk about today, my friends. We hit something absolutely amazing, yet has me concerned. So hopefully you guys have your bulletproof Beskar Crocs on. Before you get into this video, if you had a good day this weekend, leave a like. If you had a bad weekend, leave a like. If you enjoyed your Easter, leave a like. And if you left out cookies for Snoop Dogg yesterday, leave a like. There's likes to go all around today, people, especially for what we're about to talk in this video here. Let's just say it's been a journey to get back to where we are today that we were a year ago. And that is the greatest free-to-play account that ever has free-to-play in the history of the word free. And when you put the word play together, it's quite something special where this past Grand Arena at the end of the season, we finally got back into Kyber. Yeah! Wow! Trying to dig our way back out of the Kyber squish that occurred last year. If you don't know what I'm talking about, well, we're going to have a little bit of history lesson. So gather around the campfire. Let's sing our favorite campfire song, our CAMPFIRESONG song. You guys know the rest. Put it in the comment section below. Let's go chit-chatting. I primarily want to talk about this video kind of a first and foremost, just kind of for myself. I like to make these videos so I can look back in time and see, all right, what changed? How do we improve? Stuff like that. So it's mostly for me. But secondly, if you're trying to get back into Kyber after the squish last year, there were maybe I'd put three definitive things that finally got me back over from that Erodium back into the land of Kyber. Let me give you a history lesson before we get going here and show what's changed and how we got back into the land of Kyber on my free-to-play account. Back in, what was this? This was January 2024. I made basically this exact video when the greatest free-to-play account made it into Kyber with 5 million GP. Look at my roster. Take a little glance. Take a little snapshot. Put it on your fridge. Show your mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, dog, cat, whatever, because some big changes happened since then. But this was enough to get me into Kyber, and I only had Executor at the time. Not even Punishing One Exec, which came out later on that year in 2024. However, we only got better, which when you get better at the game, you're actually getting worse. Think about it. It's some crazy 5D chess analysis right there. But later on that year, we made it into Kyber 2 with barely any roster growth. This is what I had at Kyber 2. 5.5 million, whereas before we were at 5.1 million. So 400,000 GP. Still only 3 Galactic Legends, didn't add anything else. You could see I was working towards Jedi Master Luke from the span of this video to this stream here. And you could see from the title, I knew something bad was going to come. We were in Kyber 2 with 5 million. Think about it, for my main account, that was like maybe 1,000 ranks or something like that, which is absolutely mind-blowing. However, a lot of you guys know we had kind of the great Kyber purge of 2024, whatever it was. And this is when we kind of had this issue where a lot of people, including my free-to-play account, got absolutely booted out of Kyber. Let me actually roll back. So in this video, if you want, you can learn more about what the Kyber squish and whatnot. But essentially what happened, CG said, you know, there are way too many people in Kyber. Yeah, and they decided to basically redo how many people can be in Kyber. So it went from, at this time of this screenshot here, I don't remember the details, so maybe I should rewatch my old video. But basically, we went from like 94, 90, let's just round up, 95,000 people in Kyber, the entirety of it. It's not Kyber 1, just Kyber in general. And basically kicked half of them out. Half of them out. And I don't know what the numbers are to this day. So the problem was that a lot of people experienced. How many times have you seen the comment, whether on my YouTube channel, you know, the comment section, Discord, Reddit, forums, people like, man, I'm 2 million GP and I'm fighting 18 trillion million GP accounts. A lot of it has to do with this right here. A lot of those Kyber players were with those bigger rosters were kicked down into Erodium, and then those people in Erodium were getting pushed out into Chromium. And you can kind of see the trickle-down effect that happened. So essentially what happened, because we were in Kyber 2, then we got kicked our butts out shortly after because of all these Grand Arena changes. Essentially what happened is that when you go on a roller coaster ride, it's like you got to be this tall to get on the ride. Well, it basically increased. To get back into that land of Kyber, you need some bigger roster tools at your disposal to get back in there, and that's kind of what I want to talk about. And I really, especially as I said, there's a few characters that really just changed my roster. And if you're someone that's struggling to get back into land of Kyber, I'm going to share with you what really changed, and I really felt the noticeable improvement, especially in the past 2 Grand Arenas with 3v3 and 5v5. And I wanted to make this video before we go into the next 3v3 because I still think I might be a little short from being a permanent resident on the free-to-play account inside of Kyber. We'll talk about that. So, you know, there could be a chance now that we've been winning so much, we're about to get like a non-stop month of like 20 million GP accounts. You guys know how it goes. So I wonder, before we go into this, I know it's a common theme I see so much. It's demoralizing. Literally feels like getting applied demoralized in you when you have a smaller account and you're fighting people 2, 3, 4 times your size. What that means is generally you're the better player. The person, the bigger stuff, they're having a hard time winning. And the Grand Arena matchmaking, or money-based matchmaking as people like to call it, they're trying to use you as a layup to help that bigger account get back up. It's how it goes. Again, I'm more of a fan of the older Grand Arena system, but we don't need to go into that. So let's focus on the here and now. What helped me get back into Kyber on the free-to-play account? Took about 6 months, basically. 6, yeah, that's probably a little bit more, probably 6 to 8 months to finally rebound back into it. We'll see if it's enough to stay in Kyber, but it was great finally cracking what we had. So if you saw, based on the video I made last year in January when we made Kyber for the first time, Kyber 4, and then a few months later, without really any noticeable changes, when we got the Kyber 2, and boy, it's funny how I can see those things coming. It must be the tactile scanners. You can see that we added about 2 million GP since that last stream with Kyber 2 for the free-to-play Grand Arena, and you can see since then, basically in a year, less than a year, added things like Jedi Master Luke, Leia, Jedi Master Kenobi as our 3 new galactic legends. It was crazy. We made the Kyber 2. It's just Jabba's perimeter Kyber and sit the turn. But again, they changed how tall you got to be to get back on that Kyber ride. And we've also added since then the profundity. Now, we don't need to go too much into a free-to-play roster breakdown. We kind of gave a little update not too long ago. But those things right there made a big impact on my ability to get back into Kyber. I will say probably of the new GLs that I added, Jedi Master Luke feels the least impactful for getting me back into Kyber. Master Kenobi, of course, was nice, especially when I don't have a Jabba counter laying around. Now, let's say I use Star Killer on the Rey. I would use Jedi Master Kenobi to help me work my way through those Jabbas. But by far, out of the 3 GLs that I've added, Galactic Legend Leia, which I got just in the past 2 months, so boom, that's point number 1. Leia made an incredible impact immediately for my account to work its way back into the land of Kyber. Amazing on defense, amazing on offense. This right here, I mean, we don't need to talk about it too much. Some would still say, even after the addition of the Galactic Legend Ahsoka, this is the best all-around Galactic Legend in the game, and no crazy lifter needed, no relic 9s needed. So, and I can vouch for the second time now that I have 2 Galactic Legend Leia. So if you're looking at your roster and like, what GL should I have? Leia is clearly an opportunity to make your roster get to that next level. But even though Leia is one of those things that I think helped me get the Grand Arena Kyber yet again, there's a few other things I want to break down with you guys, and I'm also going to show you my defensive layout, because especially if you're going to be punching up, you got to make those big Goliaths out there. You got to make them bleeds. We'll talk about my defense placement, how that's also been beneficial for me. I want to kind of get to the second thing that really made it feel like I made a big impact since I left Kyber. Now, I have Queen Amidala, and we also have Malgus, Bane. Those are kind of my staple Conquest characters that we picked up. And of course, for Master Kenobi, I also built up Commander Ahsoka Tano. Out of these Conquest units that I built this past year, of course, I don't think it takes a big brain to figure this out. Darth Bane, of course, has been amazing. This is basically my Swiss Army knife here. If I have a perimeter Kylo and a Dark Division Rey my way, boom, use them. If I have a Queen Amidala my way, boom, use them. If I have a Leia my way, boom, use them. So we don't need to talk too much about Bane. This, of course, was my first Conquest unit that I ever unlocked. And since then, we've been pretty much unlocking all the Conquest units this past year. So big improvements there. Darth Bane, obviously a big deal. We don't need to brag too much about that guy. However, the other thing that started improving my roster to get myself back into Erodium to Kyber, Queen Amidala, I don't want to neglect her. Bane, yes, he's the golden boy. He's a galactic legend, basically in and of itself. However, Queen Amidala, she's in basically a permanent defensive addition to my roster for Grand Arena, and she gets tons and tons and tons of holds. Sure, a lot of you guys have experienced that yourselves, or maybe you had a couple slip-ups with Queen Amidala here and there. Again, Conquest characters, kind of a whole different breed of problem. You know, it's easier to get a Galactic Legend for most people than a Conquest character, right? If you're not 4 million GP, you're not doing the Proving Grounds, and Proving Grounds takes forever. There's a reason why I call it the Purgatory of Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. It's our eternal punishment for not working hard in Conquest, or maybe being a little too late to the game and you miss those Conquest cycles. So those are things that are maybe a little bit more difficult to access. And then I'm saving a bonus Conquest character. I'm going through the core stuff. More recently, upgraded Darth Malgus. This is like my most recent Conquest character I semi-upgrade. I know it's Relic 1, you know, you can make fun of me for right now. I'll tell you what I'm working on to help myself stay in the Kyber. I'll eventually get more relics on Malgus, but even at Relic 1, this has been pivotal for my roster, especially when I'm spreading my roster thin on defense, and then I got to fight these big teams on offense. This has been pivotal for taking down things like Reva, for example. So this has been a great addition, probably a bigger addition to my roster than I was ever anticipating for it to be. I was kind of using it just for the Leviathan, spoiler alert, but this has been amazing for my Grand Arena offense performance that I felt just in this past month alone when I finally upgraded him. Helped a ton on offense, and it beats more than just Reva, of course, as you guys know. So although he might be a little bit of an older Conquest unit, he still does a lot of work. So if you don't have him, you have maybe, let's say we went over the Conquest problem, where a lot of people have so many Conquest characters unlocked, but they have no gear to go around. Malgus, he's a good one to upgrade. However, I know we highlighted those Conquest units. This, I felt an incredible immediate impact on so many different levels. And if you don't have this, well, it's kind of hard to get it otherwise. This is an absolute no-brainer as well. This is, I would say, almost Darth Bane-like transformation for my roster. Rey Dark Side Vision. I have Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. Many of you guys have Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. This, I believe, was my first day one. Yes, my first day one Conquest unit I was able to unlock on my free-to-play account. Bane, you had to wait a few more months, and a bunch of other ones, just like Jocasta. I'm not going to get her right away, but Rey Dark Side Vision, I unlocked her right away, and she changed my Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, where Supreme Leader Kylo Ren was basically just my offensive tool. Now, sort of like Queen Amidala and Leia, I've been leaving Supreme Leader Kylo Ren on defense, and it makes people bleed so many banners. Basically, to beat Supreme Leader Kylo Ren for a lot of people, to do Dark Side Vision Rey, if you don't have Bane available, things get incredibly complicated incredibly quickly. You might be able to get through a Jedi Master Kenobi, but otherwise, I've just noticed my defense performance shot up, which allowed me to start beating accounts much bigger than myself. So I would put her inside of like the second most noticeable thing that I've seen my roster just get massive improvement. Next to Leia, we have Rey Dark Side Vision, and of course, Bane Queen Amidala, you know, stuff like that. So those are basically the things that made things important. Yeah, the important steps to get me to that next level. And of course, I already said this, we have Profundity. This has been a nice addition for the roster as well. And of course, how can I forget? We got to talk about one other thing. The biggest addition that happened, it was an accident too. I had a guildmate accidentally give me a Relic 9 cup, make Queen Amidala perfect. I don't know what else to say. Look, I don't even have a full mod set. Doesn't matter, he's killing it out there. Let me show you my Grand Arena defensive placement. And I hate to say it, it's not everyone's play style, but it's the way that helps me. I feel like I could stay competitive with accounts much bigger than my own. Let's go hop over to Grand Arena, essentially with the additions of especially Leia, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. It allowed me to get way more aggressive on defense, and I've seen a pretty big transformation, unless I'm fighting like 15, I'm not even kidding, we fought 14 million, 16 million accounts. It's just how it goes. The better you do, the worse the system's trying to make you. I don't know why it does it. Anyways, let me show you what I've been doing on my Grand Arena defensive placements here. If we take a look here, you can see basically when I said Queen Amidala, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, Leia, I'm not lying. I'm literally putting it into action, because when you look at it, people only have one Darth Bane. I know we want many. It's not like Raid Shadow Legends. We could have like 10 duplicates of a character. Man, if we had 10 Banes, life would be way too easy, but I digress. This essentially caused a big conundrum for people. Where to use the Bane? A lot of people like to use Bane on Leia, Bane on Spirit of Kylo Ren, Bane on Queen Amidala. So oftentimes this wall alone gets so much credit for taking me to the next level. And as you see, I need to put more stuff on defense now. So just wanted to show you how all those recent things really spelt the recipe for me to get back into Grand Arena. And then furthermore, I know we'll expand it later. Furthermore, I've been getting incredibly aggressive on ships as well, putting all my big ships on defense, got myself Executor and Profundity on defense. So just finding more ways to trip up my opponents. And the other reason why I do this, because a lot of my opponents, especially the bigger accounts that I'm probably gonna be facing again soon in Kyber, they all have Leviathan, and I don't really have the perfect counter to Leviathan on this account as of now. That's something on the list to do, but of course, as people know, there's always stuff on the list that needs to be done. If I could wave a wand, just get my 15 million GP, boom, Problem solved. Maybe I got to use those 3 wacky numbers on Grandma's credit card, eh? But anyways, I try to get people tripped up here, and if they can't clear ships, it gives me so much wiggle room. Furthermore, if I can't beat Leviathan, well, I don't want them clearing my ships. So if I just put everything heavy down on defense and just pray it's enough to stop them in that regard as well. So I've been getting lots of holds on ships. Been getting lots of holds on the, come on, load up. Boy, BlueStacks is, boy, how do we play on BlueStacks all this time? And I also would get so many holds here, allowing me to have a great offensive run as much as possible. Really got to spread your roster. And you can see the stuff I have left over. Essentially, I would keep myself Sith Eternal, Jedi Master Kenobi, Jedi Master Luke, things like Bane, and of course, the most recent addition, as we said, that I just upgraded, mostly upgraded the other day, the Relic 1 Malgus. Where is he at? Is he being shy? Is he being shy? Where's the Malgus? He's being shy. I know. Doesn't want all, yeah, there you are. The Relic 1 Malgus. So with those things, those are basically enough for me to take care of business. And of course, Imperial Troopers, the usual teams you see me build over the past several years as well. So that's how I've been able to get my way back in the Kyber. As I said, I don't know if it's going to be enough to stay there, but boy, it feels good to see that all these improvements, I feel like I'm just making that. You need to be this tall to get back on the Kyber Grand Arena roller coaster. But the thing I believe that if you want to be a permanent resident in Kyber, you're going to need the big old Leviathan. Now we're at the point where I'm almost done with the relics. I got to farm the, of course, I got to finish the Fury class Interceptor farm, which is hopefully not too much. Yeah, we're almost there. So we're almost there to get this. So this is going to be, I believe, the final piece to feel like you can be Kyber competitive once you have all 3 of the Big Daddy capital ships. You got the Bane, you got a good Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, things like that. I think that's really the winning recipe to get back up there. So if there's one thing to learn, people, you're never done with ships until you got all big 3 daddy ships. And, you know, maybe like the addition, like the Punishing one, the Marauder, things like that. But this is going to be the final piece that I think I need. And I'm hoping May, June, we'll finally have this up. And I'm probably overestimating a little bit, but it's always better to overestimate. So when I make it faster, I just feel even better. So there we have it, folks. It's kind of a, I don't know, rags to riches story, I think, for this free-to-play account. We made it, I don't know, we went from rags to riches, back to rags. We're going back to riches, baby. Let's see how this next season goes in 3v3 Grand Arena. Wish you all the best. Sign-in, I believe, just started not too long ago, so you got 24 hours. Get locked in, get those data crowds, get those final little pieces to your roster that you're gonna need, and I'll see you out there in the Holotale. But in the meantime, leave that like, comment down below, subscribe, so you're not missing a thing. And always remember, it's great to be in the Empire today.
Oh, it's great to be in the Empire today. The sun never sets.